these photos all have one thing in common, and it's not the camera that they were shot on. Hi, my name is Jeremy, and I'm a professional photographer and aspiring filmmaker based out of California. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on a topic that's been widely debated all across the internet for many years, and that's the topic of gear doesn't matter, or at least not as much as you may think it does. So I consider myself very blessed and fortunate to have been able to try a wide variety of gear over the years, from flagship camera bodies to very expensive lenses. And what I found is that while they can definitely make your life easier, it rarely becomes the determining factor in what makes your project a success or not. The most important thing I find is your vision, or the skills that you possess to make that vision come to life, which in the case of being a photographer can be either your knowledge of the camera or just your creative ability, like your eye for things. And there's a very good reason for that, I feel. You, as an artist, as a creator, you are what matters at the end of the day. You could hand someone like Steve McCurry an X-T2 and a kit lens, and he would undoubtedly create some of the best work that I've ever seen. Um, I think knowing how to use the gear that you do have becomes infinitely more valuable than simply upgrading for the sake of upgrading because it's got better specs or it's because you think you need it. But I feel like becoming a better photographer in the long run comes from trying to actually improve your creative ability more than it does from just buying whatever you can. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for buying very cool cameras and lenses, but I think you'll get to a point where you, as a photographer or as a filmmaker or as any artist, knows when you truly have outgrown your gear and whether you really need to buy the next thing. And at the end of the day, saving money and appreciating what you do own always feels better than buying something that you don't necessarily need. Now, throughout this video, all of the photos on screen were taken with a wide gamut of cameras, ranging from an original Fuji X100 to a Nikon Z9. And when I look at these photos, I don't think so much about the gear that I've used to take all of them, but more so about how much my own photography personal style has changed and how much I've improved over the years as a artist in capturing these moments. That does remind me, I had a rule for myself when I started to become a professional in this industry, and it was I talked to somebody very talented, whose work I very much admired, that did majority video but also took amazing photos. And I asked them like what they were using. This is when I was significantly younger, and before I made basically any money for doing this. And they told me a camera, and I said, oh, okay. And I remember, like, I spent all night and for weeks looking up excuse me, looking up how to, like, where I could get this camera. And it wasn't even that expensive. It wasn't like a pro body even. It was just a very good consumer, normal mirrorless camera. And I finally found it, and I bought it with the same lens that they recommended as well. And I told myself I would not upgrade until I can create art that I feel is on the same level, at least, as theirs. Now, since then, obviously, so many things have changed. I've been very blessed to be in the position that I'm in and to have done the work that I've done. And I don't think about it anymore as, a comparison of art or a comparison of content and creation. I just think like, wow, I am at a place where I'm proud of my art. And that's something that I'm sure a lot of us struggled with when we first started our careers is this good enough? Is this good enough to charge for? Is this good enough to just put out into the world? And as someone who struggled with that for a long time, I finally reached that point, and I realized that I hadn't thought about my gear along the way. I never thought about upgrading my camera. Well, I had, obviously, because I'm just a person who loves to do a lot of research on new cameras that come out, but I never was incredibly frustrated with my camera or tempted by other things, because I felt like my art was improving. And that was the biggest thing for me. I didn't need to buy a new lens, I didn't need to buy a new camera. I just had to get good with what I had, because I knew that that was enough by talking to this person who I admired. So once I reached a certain point where I could be proud of my work, I thought, wow, like, gear truly doesn't matter. So, in summary, gear does matter, but I feel like it only does as much as you let it sometimes. I think it's a difficult topic to cover for a lot of people, because a lot of people make their living covering gear or reviewing things, especially when it comes to this genre, which can be very, very expensive. And I'm no stranger to that too. I love buying new gear. I love talking about gear with people and just talking all things camera and photography related. At the same time, I recognize that I never have had to have the latest and greatest gear to create incredible images. And I know that the people that I look up to, the artists that I look up to, and the fellow photographers, I'm sometimes amazed by what they choose to shoot on simply because they've never felt the need to upgrade. They love what they have, and that's more important, I think, than anything that you could buy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was short, but I plan on creating many more videos, hopefully longer ones soon, centered around all things photography and camera and filmmaking related topics. I'll hopefully be sharing more of my personal as well as maybe some of my client work on here as well. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. And yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully talk soon. Take care.